glad to be on board.
Yeah.
So, then I'm looking at some crossbreeds from us in Indiana. And she come from Iowa.
Yeah.
I come from Indiana.
I will tell Mark to maybe put some comments in there.
Mr. Mitchell, we got to do something about that plate on your front bumper.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. I know where they're going with that. I'd never noticed it before. Yeah, we got to fix that. Got me in the boot?
Yeah. Yeah, Friday. Thursday or Friday, I don't remember now. Sheesh.
They all run together, seems like.
Yeah, right. So. Golly,
That's why you get the big bucks.
that's what they tell me. I think, it probably would have helped if I would have inquired what it paid before I even ran, because
It still wouldn't.
it was so much easier saying, how can I help you today? You need a headlight for what? It's a lot easier. You know, I was in the downslide of life, just ready for rolling into retirement. It was looking good. This is good. It's just a lot. But I couldn't do it without, you know, key people. They make the world go round for me. There's days that I walk by both of them's office and they just look at me and I get it. I get to share my pain with them.
Yeah. Well, district commissioner, it ain't worth the pay, but you gotta just wanna do it.
Yeah, keep in mind that, you know, we got 6 mayors, and that pays, I think Danielsville and Comer was the 2 highest paid mayors in the county, and that was $200 a month.
Yeah. You gotta wanna do it too.
You gotta wanna do it. You gotta really say.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I think most people don't appreciate about doing this. If you don't want, you know, it ain't for the money. It ain't like we're filling our pockets up like I have read some on Facebook.
Yeah.
You get into government work to make a fortune, you
The wrong
have
line of
been
work.
extremely misled.
That's the federal government.
Yeah, right.
We're in the wrong state, that's all.
I used to pick and tell people that I made just enough at the city of Danielsville to cover my goodie powders and Tums bill every month. Which I will tell you, it's a hard job, you know, when you don't have the staff, you know, Comer and Colbert, I mean, all of them. I mean, especially if you don't have a zoning and you ain't got that, you don't have building inspection, so you're all those hats. You know, it's a lot on that guy that's also working 8 hours or 10 hours at Pepsi or Reliance or God knows where, or owns his own business. I commend every one of the mayors.
I just tell folks when they call, I'm pretty sure you're in District 4.
Yeah.
You're just proud of our district, how big our district is.
It works pretty good, I reckon.
Ready? All right, welcome everybody to the Madison County Board of Commissioners Public Hearing Meeting on the agenda, September 26, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. Call this meeting to order. Is there any statements or remarks from citizens on tonight's agenda? Lee Mitchell?
Thank you for rolling the millage back.
Yeah, that's, I've heard that a lot lately, sir. So discuss the 2023 budget. Katie, you here?
Well, I just didn't know if I needed to read.
She's here to answer questions.
Huh?
All the employees are at the board's disposal.
Okay.
That's the reason why we're all here. Nobody's presenting, it's just for the public.
All right. Katie, I think you pretty well wrapped yours up the other day, right?
I mean, for the most part, I just didn't know if anybody had any questions or anything like that, so I just decided, I don't have baseball practice tonight, so I'll come here.
I would advise you to do something a little more entertaining.
Well, if I wasn't in here, I'd be in my office working on, BOE appeals, so.
Well, Well, after the Monday and Tuesday, just so you gentlemen know, you know, we had court 5 days last week, 4 days I know, but on Monday and Tuesday, over 800 people come through that front door, and that means you handled over 800 individuals' paperwork.
The last, or from Friday, previous, like, 14 days, we had 21, court proceedings, so like, 21 court days, like, multiples on each day.
In 14 days, yeah. So, one of the things that it hasn't been ironed out yet, was there's been some talk, Katie, of, potentially getting another officer for court days, because right now we currently have 2 full-time. One's at the front desk checking them in, the other is bouncing between courts, and on juvenile day, I was down there recently, and it seemed like all 3 days I walked up, he got called into court for juvenile disruption. Which leaves nobody for the other courts when there's a disruption, even though the bailiffs are there.
If there's somebody here that doesn't have a county issued card, then, we have to have at least one post-certified here, but Scott has to take them to the jail. There's usually 1 or 2 juveniles that are arrested from court and taken into custody, and sometimes even civil court and criminal court as well.
So there's some math being done currently, that Scott's looking into, what we're paying off-duty officers for overtime versus what we could house one in full-time, just regular staff. I do think we'll probably save money going full-time versus what we're paying in overtime.
Well, me and Tracy did sit down and run those
Not?
numbers.
For a
We're looking at,
full-time, deputy with the insurance and benefits and all that, was it 53 something,
yeah, somewhere in
thousand?
there.
And right now, just in overtime wages and regular wages for deputies in the sheriff's office, anywhere from $4,000 to $5,000 a year.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
I would've thought it'd been more than
You know, they didn't have as many court cases as coming up now.
Yeah, those are 2021 numbers.
Yeah.
We went a year, so we did 2021.
All right, well, we're still just kicking it around right now, so. Any recommendations out of the court system that may have transpired between the last time you were in front of us?
No, just if we do get a 4th judge, superior, or even a 2nd juvenile, just the perspective of where will we house more court proceedings? Because we will definitely need at least 1 more court, somewhere else to hold court.
So, my question back to you and back to Judge Malcolm, I guess, because we always talk third party, it seems like. Is there a way that we can relieve some of the court system off Madison County? Because, I mean, juvenile, for instance, you know the situation, we do more juvenile court here because that's just where the judge chooses to do it. But if it puts our county's other judicial areas in jeopardy of space, well, then they may need to look at that, holding them in their own counties.
Well, he does schedule just as much in other counties as he does here in Madison. The only issue is all the other counties only have 1 courtroom. So if there is an emergency case or something that has to be added, Superior takes precedence over juvenile, so he has to move to the court. And usually we're the only ones with a courtroom available, like the 2nd courtroom available, that he can house that.
Yeah, and I understand 1 courtroom and 2 courtrooms. I just don't want to be the county with 3 courtrooms while everybody else has 1. I need them to expand.
And I think that if we do get another, Elbert County has an annex that they are working on to do, as well as they have their old historic courthouse where they hold some of their proceedings when needed. Hart County is using an ag building, there in Royston. And Franklin County is as well. I'm not sure about Oglethorpe County. Their case count isn't near what ours is anyway. But the only other thing would be if we do get another judge, they would probably want to have 1 here, like an office here in Madison, just because of the high civil rates, the TPOs and all of that. It'd just be easier for that, to track down a judge to be able to find one of those.
if this falls through in 2023, you believe that it'll be 2024 before we'll be looking for space?
Probably, because,
Okay.
I mean, and we're third in the list for the fourth judge, and which every year it just goes up and goes up. And I had to run a case count for additional ARPA funds, like for next year, I had to turn that in. And only about 30% of our felony and serious felony cases have been resolved from January 1 to August 31st. So there's still over 70% of felony cases that haven't been able to be resolved. A lot of the misdemeanor cases are just pleading and being resolved that way, but we just don't have the time to do the jury trials and a lot of the funding because everybody's kind of wanting to exercise that right of having their jury trial.
Well, just keep us updated, please, on that.
Definitely will.
It would be safe to say, wouldn't it, Katie, that if a fourth judge is added to the circuit, like you said, this is gonna be their home courthouse, so to speak.
Yes, sir.
And from the conversations that we've had over and over, a remote courtroom is not gonna work.
No, we would have to, then it would be like the split security, you have to have a secure lot for, the judges to enter and park. You have to have additional holding cells if somebody was needed to be transported from the jail or from another facility, and it'd just be easier, because we already have that here, but, I mean, if there was another court, just like court annex, where kind of everything was held, but I think that'd probably be more difficult to do than just have that all here.
I guess what I'm suggesting is we may, on this side of the table, we may have to entertain evaluating space in the courthouse where somebody may have to move to an annex or another building, realistically, because I don't think it would be out of line to envision that if it waits till 2024 and they add a judge, you may also have 2 or 3 new judges come to the bench then
Right.
because of rumors of sitting judges potentially retiring at that
Right.
time. Would that be
Yes.
safe to say, looking
That would
into
be
the crystal
safe to
ball?
say that in 2024, that's the end of that term, I believe there is at least one judge that is going to be retiring.
I think that's something that as we enter into the new year, it's something we as a group need to keep in the back of our minds that may be a challenge that we need to prepare ourselves for, including, I think because he'll need an office, plus he'll have a clerk and an assistant there, so, they'll need 1,000 square foot just for what they do besides the courtroom.
Yeah, we looked, 8, 10, 12 months ago, and we don't have a building, we don't have an office inside this building that would serve adequately to a judge currently. Like even if we, some of the rumor was moving maybe the tax office over into a different building, let them have that, but if you look at that office, it's only 20 foot deep by 75 feet long. It's still, yes, it's fine for individual offices, but you'll never hold a court. There's just no way. There's nothing in this building. It would definitely be an expansion to this building, if it has to come down to being attached to this building. It's just the way the building was designed. But anyway, all right,
Repurposed.
yeah, right. Maybe do a breezeway across or something. Shelley, you here on your budget? Okay. I'm gonna try to run through these because we got 20 minutes before the meeting starts. Christopher, you here on your budget? You're good? Good to go. Tracy? All right, Shelley, let's roll what we got there. Give me that number again. What number is it?
87.
87.
87.
3 pages from the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 pages.
Gotcha. All right.
This is just,
How was your trip?
would've been nice if it was actually vacation.
No hurricane though.
No.
Okay, so what I'm fixing to give you, this is a lot of information, some of it you may already have. This is everything that I've done as far as research on our budget, athletics uniforms.
That's the idea. We have both of them in the same building.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
These folks are mobile.
yeah.
If you start spreading them out, then you got extra security and all those issues. It's just all.
Yeah, you know, that was initial thought there, but it was still gonna be a split security deal. You still gonna have to have security there, security there.
Feel like you got holding cells or something like that, that could be shared between the two.
Yeah, we can look at a plan on that, 100%, yeah. All right, what do you wanna start with in particular, gentlemen? I know these are your bids for your tractors. I know Andrew.
Yeah, that's just,
Yeah, that was just.
that's for this year's budget though.
I was really surprised about that.
So is this new material or is this included
Some of
in
it- I'm not sure what exactly, I did send some stuff today to Missy, so I don't know what else she included, but, I did make a couple copies of what I sent today, but that's also like my initial budget request that I sent in, information in terms of our number of participants we have, all of that type stuff.
So the one with
As
the John
well as
Deere
our-
cover sheet on it is just information for y'all, because that's splosh money, that's not actual budget money.
Yeah, that's for this year, it doesn't apply to this year's budget, but y'all had asked for it beforehand, so I already had it, so.
So this was what was approved last year?
The,
Is that true? What do you have?
no,
We
that
approved
is
some
the
John Deere
quotes for
equipment,
this year.
but
So,
it's for pieces of equipment that we approved last year.
no, well, so you approved the reel mower last year. The quote we have for the reel mower originally was from March of 2021 at the $38,000. So then the budget was approved for the 40 in February. And then when we re-quoted it out, it came back at 55.
So they decided not to
So
go.
we decided not to go with purchasing the reel mower and instead buy these 3 pieces of equipment, with the $40,000 that was approved.
Which is already in the 2022
Yeah.
budget, yes. All right. Hey, Zach?
But in that packet, there's some information regarding, our athletic, supplier, uniforms, equipment. Then also there are, estimates on, with what I pulled from our deposit records for Sports Engine. And then also an updated revenue from Rec Desk as well for up to this year in there. So.
I was asking, do you have a copy of these? All right. Do you have an extra one? Christina, do you have one? Do you have a couple extra ones? All right. This is way more reading than we're gonna be able to get done in
Right.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's just information for you on how it came about with the numbers.
So, Nikki, the numbers that you show, in the budget up column over here on what you handed out,
Mhm.
those were, I guess I'm trying to understand that, we still got some outstanding requests that haven't, or,
There are some requests that we cannot fiscally accommodate at this time
okay,
because they are not smart decisions for where our economy is headed.
okay,
We did take into consideration our budget request as to what we felt was reasonable as far as where we are year to date, projecting also an inflation percentage increase, and that's where we came up with different budgets.
okay,
We've sat down, we have gone through, Todd and Christina and I, the three of us, have probably sat down at least a dozen times going through to see what we could do, what we could make work, what was feasible, what was reasonable. And I
Yes,
think
I just wanna reiterate to Missy when she says that, it wasn't we sat down with Missy and was like, oh yeah, you're right, oh, that sounds good. It was no, let's try to look at it from a different angle. Like, we really try, I know me and Missy both bumped heads a lot on the budget, trying to make these numbers work and play devil's advocate here. So it's really been vetted and looked through.
but I guess that column there for where you came out with the budget numbers is something that is not her total request, but is what we feel like that the county can support at this time. Okay.
So the 960 is the wish list, and the 828 is where we're at. Is that, I say wish list, that may not be accurate. 960 is the proposed, and the 828 is the bottom line.
And some of the numbers in the 828, total are some things where we have gone back to Shelley and we were like, is there any way we could cut this down, or is there any way we could do something a little different? And there were some things that she has kicked back as well. So we really went through these, and, you know, when it comes down to looking at numbers, I look for consistency. I look where we are now, 9 months into the year, and project, we've got basketball season left. Where were we? What if we have an uptick in registration? We know we're gonna have an uptick in supplies. Those are the things we looked at from all different angles, running numbers. Christina and I have ran so many numbers trying to figure out what was the best case scenario we could put into this budget.
So then, Shelley, I'll ask then on these over here where these amendments are made or whatever to reduce it, do you see them that you have a great disagreement with that?
I mean, there are a few, the last number, so 829 is a different number than the number that I have, than the last one that was sent to me.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm talking about line items.
But as far as line items go, there are some, particular athletic uniforms. We've already spent 66 this year, and we're still projected to roughly, spend, about another $20,000 more with basketball uniforms. So that 75, looking at that number, that's not even gonna cover, what we've spent this year.
How many
however,
people do you think's gonna sign up for basketball?
last year we had 316.
316,
Mhm.
and then, that's fall basketball, right?
The winter basketball, it's one season. So.
I know you give it to me here, I just think fall
No,
along.
we had, the previous year for basketball, we had 245.
So 245,
It's a almost a 29% increase in participants from winter of 2020 to winter of 2021.
So you had that number registered already?
Winter of
No,
2020.
2021. 2022 registration is currently going on. We don't have very many registrants right now, but we're in the middle of fall season, and all of our registrations happen within the last 2 weeks. The registration will go until November 10th.
That's me. I'm one of those parents that wait till the end.
Yeah.
Well, another thing I have on the basketball thing is that on the quote that she submitted, the pricing of what we pay, like, for uniforms for different sports, We spend $74 a uniform per kid.
That's for next year's budget request.
I know that's what we're talking about right now.
I know, this year it was $69, that's what they approved.
Why are we spending that much on a basketball uniform when we don't spend it on any other sport?
Because basketball uniforms are just as costly. I mean, I brought them, they're,
Okay, so when
Double
you're given a
reversible.
budget, do you look at your budget and do you pick a uniform based on what you can afford, or do you pick on what you think looks best?
we picked this year's budget, we presented it to the Board of Commissioners with that in mind, with the amount of kids, because the community asked for this. We brought it to the board, we did an RFP, and asked, this is what we recommend going with, and if we do, this is how much we're gonna have to spend.
Okay,
We
so
had
we're
an
saying for
influx.
2023, we're gonna have to back that down.
If you do that, then what you're gonna be going with is this dry fit t-shirt, with MC on it, probably Madison County across the front, MC on the back, and then where this says coach, it'll be just a number on it. That quote is in your packet that I just gave you today.
Is that what this one is? It's
Yep.
57,000? Okay, I seen that earlier. when it was-
How much of the uniform dollars you show here are not covered in the registration fee?
Everything, basically, because our registration fee is at $75, we're one of the lowest ones. You know, this
So
year's.
the registration fee is not designed to cover uniform costs?
It is not. It was designed to cover a t-shirt cost, but this year when we went up to spend more money on the uniforms, our registration cost stayed at $75 because we were already advertising that. So if we want to offset any of the extra costs with the uniforms, we're gonna have to drastically raise our fees.
This is one thing that would help me when we look at items like this, that there is an income, source that offsets some of it. If we can, really, to me, when we're looking at the cost portion of it, I really only need to see the portion of it that's above what's gonna be covered in the registration fee.
Well, right now, our rec department operates at a deficit.
And that's, but there's several structures that we're gonna have to reevaluate for 2023. Everybody, including Facebook, I like to say that, meaning the public, they think that registration, first thing they're gonna say is, what's our registration fee go for then? Because they don't understand that there's more to it. So,
Well, it's just,
not just uniforms is going to be looked at this year, but concessions and everything else. I mean, you had that talk last
Right.
year about the concession prices. I know now, just at the MCYA football games, it's a fine hamburger, but it's $5. Ours
Right.
can't be $2 no more.
no, and that's something that we've talked about is, you know, we've already advertised all of this for the year. Is it really a smart move to make it right in the middle of the season? No. So going forward on changing those prices, I mean, even our drink prices with Coke are gonna have to go up. Right now they're $1.75. You can't even get a Coke and a, you know, a gas station for $1.75. So those prices are definitely gonna have to be increased as well. Those are things that we are looking at, doing. But it's something that's gonna have to happen if we're gonna be able to especially cover the cost of, athletic officials, which we're normally would be trying to do, but athletic officials go for roughly $50 a game, especially umpires for baseball, softball. I just did, just for 2 weeks of games for volleyball, baseball, softball. Well, baseball, softball alone was $2,380 for 2 weeks for all the games and everything that we've hosted, which is great because we do have an influx of teams and we play in-house and everything, and we also have other counties coming to us spending money in the concession stands. So we do have that revenue, but we are gonna have to look at if we want to go keep everything at $75, then we're saving about $3 roughly, $3 or $4, going with the dry fit, per kid, so.
Well, one thing that we're gonna have to keep in mind in this budget, you know, even if there's a reduction in the rec department budget or not, is taxpayers is gonna remind us where their tax dollars go. And when they see that bottom line, you know, when you, I ain't gonna say demand, but when this board sets and you request a $960,000 budget, and if you're not running a top-notch ship, they're gonna say, it doesn't matter what the uniforms look like. So, in order to be able to justify that kind of number, we gotta make sure that we are grade A whether we look like it or not. Now granted, we progressed in 2022 to better looking uniforms, which did, please some of the public, because they felt like that we did not look very professional. We addressed that to a higher cost, which has drove the numbers up, but in order to maintain that higher cost, you're gonna have to show the results from it, and it's not gonna be just by holding tournaments, it's gonna have to be holding tournaments that are, you know, well-oiled machines, there's no backlash. Because the first thing they're gonna do is they're gonna come back to this board and say, wait a minute, we all spend a whole lot of money on the rec department and we can't even get a game schedule right. So, just keep that in mind, that any number we present, we have to represent back to the public as to why we done it, and the causes behind it, and then a guarantee as to why we done it and how it's gonna come off without a hitch. And the uniforms you're right on.
Again, goes back to our athletic officials. Again, we're gonna have to figure out how to do that. We're looking at projecting spending around $46,000 this year on that, so, that 34,000 number is probably gonna go over, unless we, again, raise fees to compensate for that in other areas.
I think that's a national crisis, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then,
It is.
yeah.
We're
and
very, go ahead.
Well, I just know from MCY what they're paying, it's
Mhm.
like almost double what it
Mhm.
was just to get folks to do it, so.
Mhm.
You know, we're in between a rock and a hard place is the way I say it because, you know, we want to represent well, you know, with the uniforms and like that. And, to do that, we're probably gonna have to raise fees, which people are gonna say, well, why are you raising fees? You know, well,
Yep.
that's
What's the basketball fee,
part of that.
$100 now?
part of that
Basketball
thing
fees,
that's gonna have to happen.
The fall sports are 100.
Fall sports is 75,
What,
unless there's a
Shelley,
late fee.
what would the fees be in Jackson County, or have you checked those?
They're $95 to $100, in Jackson County, and then they also still charge a late fee as well. Jefferson's the same. The only place that is super duper low is Banks County. When I say super duper low, they're still at like $60, which is what we charge for our younger kids.
We got Banks Crossing.
They have Banks Crossing in there. Even you look at, I mean, Oglethorpe County has even gone up on some of their fees, with things. So, again, I mean, you compare it, you look at it, you know, a lot of it is tax-based, so.
Well, just for the record, for everyone knowing, including Zach, the average homeowner at $1,000, on a $1,000 tax bill, paid $15.37 to the rec department. So, before it gets out of hand, I fund that department, it should be free to my children, you don't need to increase the fees. Keep in mind, based on a $1,000 tax bill, that particular taxpayer paid $15 to the rec department. So just clear that up. So when you do go up, because you're gonna have to, along with every other county in the state of Georgia, there's gonna be an increase. So just remind, it's only $15 that they contribute per 1,000.
And I think Banks County is fixing to do an increase on theirs per the email I got from their director today.
But we'll hear that though.
Oh,
Yeah, we'll hear it.
So I don't think there's a rec department of the state that's like their own P&L division, that all of them, you know, it costs money to
Yeah.
fund this stuff. We talked about the court a minute ago, part of those activities, like funding the library, there's other activities that, you know, there needs to be a healthy opportunity to hopefully educate and mentor kids in different ways. So, I mean, I'm not trying to think that you're gonna get a zero balance I guess my question would be, as we kind of finish up and move on into next year, can you put together kind of surrounding counties, just like a one pager? I'm not talking about very detailed, but just out of curiosity. I mean, you're telling us this morning, I mean, you're telling it to us now, I
Right, I mean, you can see.
just like to see it.
I can do that.
Shelley, I appreciate all the information here. We'll try to take this back, get this digested over the next day or two, and then we'll have something to work with for final numbers here just shortly. But in the task at hand in the next few days, definitely Derek's request, get us those numbers, see what we're gonna project out there, because we're gonna need to know that before this 2023 adoption.
Yeah, Angela and I are working on a bunch of stuff.
That'll be fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, gentlemen, before we ask for the motion to adjourn? Have a motion to adjourn,
So,
here, all right. Anybody need a break, water break or something before we start the next one?
Just a question, we have court cases from other counties, do we get some kind of big conversation?
I'm gonna go to
I can ask that right back, that's fine.
okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna take about a 5-minute break. We just come out of the budget work session, a budget hearing, I'm sorry. Katie, when we hold out-of-county court here, I think you told us this in the last meeting, we get a little bit of an offset back, or we just call it even, because sometimes they hold courts in their county, so we really don't charge in and out.
For juvenile, we just kind of, it just kind of washes, but for, any superior, things like transcription, any kind of, as far as security goes, we don't reimburse, but if it's for transcription, court reporter, or anything like that, it comes to the county that the case is associated with.
Thank you.
We must be gonna say something important tonight. Oh, yeah,
A lot of friendly faces here.
yeah, and they're all friendly too. Just keep that in mind. Just give me about 10 minutes, we'll see how that goes.